Kirtana. When we hear those verses, when we chant them, it's called Shravan. So Shravan and Kirtan leads to Smarana, which is remembrance. So when we hear and we chant, slowly we start remembering these verses. And when we start remembering these verses, our thoughts have Krishna in them. Our thoughts have Supreme Lord in them. And that is the ultimate goal of life. I'm not saying this. Krishna says that. So he says in chapter 9.34 and also in chapter 18.65. 9.34. मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी माम नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैत्व atmanam mataparayana. He says, engage your mind always thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So the idea of life is to go back, not to stay here. Yes? Do you think this is a place we have to live here forever? No, right? Life is called a bridge. You don't make houses on the bridge. We cross the bridges. So we have to cross this bridge. That's why this is called Bhavasagar, the ocean of life and death. So keep on rotating. To complete this circle, we have to try and cross it over with the thoughts of the Supreme Lord. If we are successful in doing that, what happens? We go back to the Lord, we go to the Supreme. And why do we have to cross over this world, ocean kind of material world? Why do we have to cross over? We discussed this last time. Why? Padam padam yat vipadam nateshan. Because every step there is perplexity, there is problems. Every step. No matter whatever kind of money you have, no matter what kind of intelligence you have, you will be perplexed at some point. And any time there is no warning given. Suddenly there will be a disease. You cannot do anything about it. Yeah, we spent about a couple of years, right, in that. More than that. No clue what to do. Just take it and die. Can't do anything. Wait until the medicine comes in. That too not foolproof. So this is life. So in this kind of material life, when we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand what is the purpose of this life. The purpose of this life is to go back. It's not to stay here. So Krishna again says in chapter 18, similar kind of thing. He says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto, chapter 18, verse 65. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. He tells Arjun, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my dear, very dear friend. Tells Arjun. So if we consider Krishna as our friend, Supreme Lord as our friend, the only thing we have to do in this life is be in his thoughts. It's hard, actually, because there are so many thoughts. But we have to desire, we have to think, we have to see, okay, what is the way I can bring my mind to Supreme Lord's thought? And the way to do it is chanting and hearing those chants, which will lead to smarana, remembrance. So far what we have read in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, is that Arjun has given all the reasons not to fight. And he starts lamenting at the end. What did we discuss last couple of weeks? Arjun surrenders to Krishna because he is bewildered. He is unable to think. He doesn't want to fight. So which verse does he surrender to Lord Krishna? Kalpesh.
2.7.
And which verse he says that I'm not going to fight? Mataji.
Prabhu, sorry, I can't see the verses. So
No, I'm
can I
asking
get
you.
my Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu?
I'm asking you. I'm not
When he
sharing
says
the
I
screen.
get
Okay,
no idea, Prabhu.
that's
Sorry.
fine. So I'll share my screen with you. He says that in verse 2.9. So we'll go to 2.9 and see what he says. Sanjaya uvacha eva mukta rishikesham gudakesha parantapa. So who's Rishikesha? Krishna. Gudakesha, Arjun. Parantapa, who's Parantapa?
Arjun,
Very good. Do you know what's the meaning of Parantapa?
conqueror of something.
Very nice. It is the Parantapa means the chastiser of the enemies. So Arjun, he even when he would sleep, nobody could attack him. He will kill his enemy. He was like that. That's why he was also known as Gudakesha, someone who has a control over his sleep also. So that is Gudakesha. And Rishikesha is Krishna, who's the master of all the senses. So to Gudakesha, Parantapaha, or to Rishikesha, Gudakesha Parantapa, who's Arjun, he says that, what does he say? Nayotsya iti Govindam. Nayotsya iti Govinda. 2.9. What is Nayotsya iti Govinda? I shall not fight Govinda.
Mm.
I will not fight. So remember, 2.7 he surrenders, 2.9 he says, I will not fight. So this is the time he actually says, Krishna, I'm not going to fight. Till now he was giving reasons. Why should we fight? Why should we fight? Why should we fight? And he concludes, I will not fight. That is 2.9. And then in 2.10, Krishna accepts Arjun as his disciple. How? By giving a grin. So when friends meet, they smile. But when Guru meets, he doesn't smile. He grins. Because he knows that now he is ready to become my disciple. Only then he grins. So he grins on Arjun about many things. He says now he has come to the right point of surrender. He has understood that when he is bewildered, when someone is bewildered, the only way to come out of it by intelligence is to surrender. Yeah. So in 2.10, he accepts him as a disciple. Now we will read the next verse 2.11. Now, the other thing, Arjun, he's not an ordinary person, right? He is a Jnani. He knows Artha Shastra. He knows Dharma Shastra because he's quoting everything from all those places, right? In chapter 1. He's saying the reasons why we should not fight. He talks about Atataina. What is Atataina? Aditi is here. Aditi can answer.
I
You
don't
can try.
remember.
You don't
I
remember?
don't remember.
Fellow Jester can answer. You can try. Do we have, is it Sushma? I don't know. Okay, Kalpesh, do you want to try? What is Atataina?
भूल गया सर. What भूल गया.
So ata tainaha. Ata means the string of the bow. Taina means stretching. So someone who's stretching a bow at you with an arrow, someone who's trying to kill you, that person is called aggressor in English. In Sanskrit, atataina. So in Arthashastra, as per Niti, who's a scholar of Arthashastra from our Vedic times, post-Vedic times, or during those era? Chanakya Pandit.
Chanakya. Mhm.
Yeah. So in Arthashastra, aggressors have to be killed immediately. Yeah. So we understood who are aggressors. 6 different types of acts which make someone an aggressor. Any examples? Someone who tries to take away your wife, someone who steals your land, someone who tries to burn you, someone who tries to poison you. Yeah, these are aggressors. They should be killed at once. That's what Arthashastra says. But Arthashastra is at a lower level. A, one level up is Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra say, how does Dharma Shastra quote this? Dharma Shastra quotes, who was the Dharmaraj during the times of Pandavas?
Yudhishthir.
Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir. So what? Why he was called a Dharmaraj?
He was son of Dharmaraj, right?
Okay. By his acts,
I
right? He
mean,
used to do something.
So
The
to take
reason
the
why he
right
was called
decision. Yeah.
Dharmaraj. What
basically
did he
he's
do that he
following
was
all the
called
dharmas.
Dharmaraj? What all
All
the
the
things did he do?
he used to speak the truth,
Very good.
and yeah, he used to follow all the religion principles,
Okay.
and that
So
he
even if
had values
someone
and he
is
principles.
not behaving or not behaving in terms of dharma with him, if even if someone is adharmi, he will be dharmi against him. That's why he was called Dharmaraj. So even if someone is not following the rules of dharma and behaving with him or acting with him or practicing with him, he will even then reciprocate with him in dharma. That's why he was called Dharmaraj. Okay. So as per Dharma
Prabhupada, so
Shastra,
even if somebody is doing wrong thing, yeah,
yeah,
with the voice. So if somebody is not even following dharma, he will follow the dharma. That's why,
he
Prabhu.
still will follow dharma. Yes. 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 That's why he was
Yeah,
called Dharmaraj.
got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So as per Dharma Shastra, Arjun quoted that Dharma Shastra says that aggressors, even we will not kill them, we will leave them alone. Because Artha Shastra says that aggressors should be killed, but he was talking on Dharma Shastra. So he knew Rajaniti, he knew Dharmaniti, he knew Artha Shastra. So he was a very learned person, Arjun. So he was also perplexed. He was also bewildered. So when we talk about knowledge, intelligence, understanding, science, all those things, material world comprises of all these things. Even if someone has all the kind of opulences, he will still be perplexed. He will still be bewildered. That is the nature of this material world. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Can someone find this verse in Bhagavad Gita with this phrase? Mama Maya Duratyaya. Krishna says. Control F, Google, do whatever, no problem. Try to find that.
7.14.
Wonderful. Can you read the verse?
Yes. 1 second. Prabhuji, I found it on. Okay. देवी हेषा गुणमयी मामा माया दुरात्यया माम एवा ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायाम इतम तरन्ति ते.
Can someone read the translation of this? I'll share my screen.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
So this is what this Maya is. When we say Maya, it's nothing illusionary. It's the real-time world we live in. It's hard to deal with it. So even a person like Arjun, who's got all the opulences, all the kind of knowledge, warriorship, everything, even he can get bewildered. He can get perplexed. So what is the solution? Yes,
Surrender unto Krishna.
wonderful. So when we surrender, then what happens? What happens then? We discussed this last time. What happens?
We become the disciple of uh, Lord Krishna. First
Okay,
step.
okay,
I think Krishna starts working for you.
okay. So who says that? What happens? Who answers it? So we are assuming here, right? All these things. Let's quote from somewhere. We discussed something from the Ved, from the Shastras last time. Yes. What was the quote? Anyone remembers the verse?
4.14 from Bhagavatam.
Okay. You find out the verse. I will tell you. Samashritaye padapallavam महत्पदं पुण्ययशो मुरारे भवान् बुधिर्वत्स पदं परं पदं 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 यत् विपदां न तेषाम्. So what happens? Samashhritaye padapallavaplavam. That when you surrender, when you fully surrender from your heart, when you fully samashrita. Ashrita means taking shelter. Ashram, ashray. All these words come from ashram, ashray, the shelter. So when you take shelter, samashrita, full shelter of what? Padapallavaplavam. Vaplavam means the boat. When you take the shelter in a boat, padapallavaplavam, in the lotus feet like boat of the Supreme, of who? Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare, of this Yasho Murare, of Murari. When you take the shelter in a boat like lotus feet of Krishna, what happens then? Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare, Bhavan Buddhir Vatsa Padam Param Padam. What happens? The Bhavan, the big ocean of this Maya, the big ocean, Bhavasagar, of this life and death, what it becomes? Vatsa Padam. It becomes as small as the hoof of a calf. That whole ocean becomes so small. Don't worry about it. You can cross it easily. Yeah. And that person
Prabhu,
does
what is the
not
verse number?
feel.
Can you tell me the verse?
Yeah. So that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can search on the verse. I don't remember the number, but I remember the verse.
No
Yeah.
worries. No.
I think it's Canto 10. The clue, you can go to Canto 10, chapter 14, I believe. 14 or 15, I'm not sure. And verse is 28. So try both. 10, 14,
Sure, Prabhu.
28. 10, 15, 28. Try both. So for that person who takes the shelter, for him, crossing over this bhava, this ocean, is very easy. And for him, whatever yad padam padam yad vipadam natesham. So there is no perplexity for that person. So it doesn't mean that the perplexities go away, the problems go away. They're all there. They will not go away. But we don't feel it if we are under the shelter of the Lord. So imagine driving a bike, a cycle, a hero cycle from India on a very tipsy-turvy land or a road, yeah, for about 10 kilometers. You'll feel the bumps, yes. But if you drive a four-wheel drive of the top European car, German car, Mercedes or a BMW, will you feel the the bumps? You won't. So you get those shock absorbers when you take the shelter of Krishna. So that is what Brahmaji says. So Arjun is doing the right thing here. He takes the shelter of Krishna. He surrenders onto him. 2.7, he says, Karpanya dosho. He says, I'm bewildered. Pahatasvabhava. Please, my nature is, I'm not acting according to my nature. I'm a Kshatriya, but not acting like one. Prachami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. My cheta is sammuda. It's become muda. It's completely perplexed. I'm confused. Yachashreyasyam nishchitam bruhi tanme. Tell me for real. Tell me clearly what should I do. Give me the direction. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. I am your disciple, a soul surrendered to you. And now Krishna will start speaking in 2.11 onwards. So we discussed up till 2.10. Now Krishna accepts him as his disciple and he starts speaking. So the real time Bhagavad Gita, real time philosophy of Bhagavad Gita starts from 2.11. He will start with ABCD of spirituality and philosophy. So far, it has been a pep talk by Krishna in chapter 1. And then now, why there was a pep talk? Because he was acting as a friend of Arjun. But after Arjun surrenders to him as his disciple, now he will talk like a spiritual master, a guru. Guru doesn't beat around the bush. He just answers the disciple's questions to enlighten him, to uplift him in his spiritual progress. Shreyas. What is Shreyas and what is Preyas? Shreyas is Yacha Shreyasyam. What is Shreyas?
Long term.
Correct. The ultimate good or the long-term good. And what is Preyas? Short-term good, which is material good. So we do not go to the Guru for our short-term or material gains. We should go to a spiritual master for our spiritual progress. Shreyas. Yacha Shreyasyam Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme. That's what he says in 2.7. He surrenders to him and says, tell me what is Shreyas, what is ultimate good for me. Please tell me. So now Krishna will start speaking from 2.11. Please repeat after me. I'll share my screen. 2.11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Vacha
Ashocya Anvashocastvam
Ashochan
अशोच्यान्वशोचस्त्वम्
Pragyavadam Cha Bhashase
Pragyavadavascha
Gatasuna Gatasunschа
गतासून अगतासूंश्च
Nanu Shochanti Pandita.
Anushochan
नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः
नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So who's Bhagavan?
Krishna.
Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is not saying Shri Krishna Uvacha. It is not saying Shri Murari Uvacha. It is not saying anything else but Bhagwan Uvacha. Simple to understand, no brainer. Who's Bhagwan? It's Krishna. Yeah. So Krishna starts speaking here. So he says, Ashocha Anvashochastvam. Ashocha. What is Shocha? Shocha means lamenting. Comes from
Yeah,
Shoka. Shoka. So the
mourning, lamenting.
every word in Sanskrit has a dhatu behind it. Sho. Sho is the dhatu behind this. Shoka, shocha, all these words. Acho, choka. So all these you might find English words like choking. That is also lamenting. Manav, man. Manushya, man. So all these Sanskrit words are the old words or the ancient words in Sanskrit. But these English words have been derived. All the languages, many languages have derived words from Sanskrit. So you'll find similarities there. So choke, nothing, is lamenting, shoka. Okay. So so English is very light basically. These are very in depth. So the way you'll understand it, how? Because when you read Sanskrit in Devanagari, what happens is that when you're not able to read that word, what do? We fall back to English. Yes, so that we can read. That means in English is lighter. The aesthetics of English is lighter, halka hai, than Sanskrit. Sanskrit bhari wala hai. So it is hard to pronounce the aesthetics of Sanskrit as compared to English, because Sanskrit is vast, and as well as it is very strongly aestheticized. So that language is, so if you see one word of Sanskrit, it's a whole sentence by itself. It can complete a whole sentence. That you can't do that in other languages. So when we say ashoch, then when Krishna says ashoch anvashochastvam, so this is the irony of the same word, lamenting, not an irony, I would say, same word repeatedly used, shocha, shocha, but first he says that it is not worth lamenting of what you are lamenting. Ashochan means not worth lamenting, anvashochastvam, of what you are lamenting. So what you are lamenting for, it's not worth lamenting. First thing Krishna says, Ashocha anvachochastvam pragya vadamscha bhashase. So pragya means, what does pragya means?
Knowledge.
Very good. Intelligent is the
Hmm.
word. Knowledgeable. So pragya, that means you are very intelligent. There is a lot of intelligence in you. Pragya vadamscha bhashase. Vadamsha means speaking. You are speaking very intelligently, as an intelligent person, as a knowledgeable person. Bhashase, in a very knowledgeable person's language you are speaking. So Krishna is saying, Ashocha anvashochastvam pragya vadamscha bhashase. So he is contradicting these two things. You are lamenting, which is not worthy of lamenting, although speaking very intelligently and learned words. You are a Dharma Shastri, you are a Artha Shastri, you are a Rajanitigya, you have all the kind of knowledge, but even then you are speaking like a fool. That's what Krishna says. Yeah, but very diplomatically. The disciple understands that the guru is chastising him, but he accepts it. That's the first rule of being a disciple. You have to act like a mudha. Even though you may be knowing a lot of things, but for the guru, you are a mudha. You don't know anything. So in Ramayana, when Ravan was dying, almost at the end of all the kand, so there are many kands in Ramayana, many chapters, okay, in Ramayana. Not in the today's dialect we use a kand ho gaya, right? The word is coming from that kand, but kand is a very literary meaning. Okay, it's a nice meaning. Okay, but it uses very lightly in this world. So Sundar Kand, Bal Kand, there are different chapters, as we call it, different sections of Ramayana. So at the end of Ramayana, when Ravan was dying, Ravan was a Pandit. Ravan was very knowledgeable. It's just that because of being in the mode of ignorance and being a tamasic person and a Rakshasa, he acted that way. It is the mode of material nature which made him act that way. Although he was very knowledgeable and intellectual, but he acted that way being in the mode of ignorance. So when he was dying, Ram told Lakshman that go and get some knowledge from Ravan. He's very intelligent. So Lakshman went to Ravan and he went, or I'll say this in Hindi because everybody understands. ऐसे पैर से पैर लगाई बोलो उसको, hey, मेरे को ज्ञान चाहिए. You know? So that's the attitude of Lakshman towards Ravan. I need some gyan. Come on, give me. You know, he was lying down, hitting his leg. Ravan didn't respond. He came back to Ram, Lakshman. बोला नहीं देता मेरे को. He's not answering. What should I do? So Ram told him that when you want knowledge from a guru, you don't act like that. You have to act as a mudha. You have to act as if you don't know nothing and you surrender to the guru and then you will get knowledge. So Lakshman said, this is very difficult for me towards Ravan. He said, if you don't do that, you will not get knowledge. That's about it. End of story. If you want to try that, go ahead. So he went after receiving the message from his brother because he used to do what Ram says. That was the beauty of Lakshman. Lakshman means, you know what the meaning of Lakshman? Who has all the Lakshmi. And what was the Lakshmi? Not the money, but he had all the knowledge and wisdom from Ram. That was his Lakshmi. Because of his service towards Ram. Lakshmi Pati iti Lakshana. Lakshmi, not Lakshmi Pati, I'm sorry. Lakshmi Pati is Ram. But he had opulences, lot of opulences. So he went to Ravan after getting this message from Ram. He said, he went, folded his hands and surrendered. He gave a, prostrate namaskar to him, sashtang pranam, and he said that I need some wisdom from you. And then Ravan spoke. He said very important words. He said, everybody has two kinds of dogs in his heart, a good and a bad dog. And you should always listen to the one whom you feed the most. Normally we do that. So I have always fed the wrong dog. That is my job. Bad job. In my whole life, I always fed the wrong dog, the bad dog. And I've always listened to that. This is my wisdom to you. Please don't do that. I'm on my deathbed because of that. So this is how we should take knowledge from the Guru. By being mudha. So Krishna says that you are lamenting of something which is not worthy of lamenting. And what is not that is worthy of lamenting? He says in the next line. He says, Gata soon agata soonscha. So what is gata? What is gata? Anyone? Gata.
The life air.
No, that is soon.
Lost.
Yes, almost there. Who said that?
Aditi.
Aditi. Good. Very good, Aditi. So something which is gone is called gata. And something which is not gone is called agata. And what is Gata soon, agata soon, soon. So both the places is life, air. So with the life air being gone, a body becomes dead matter. The life air being inside, the life inside, the body is alive. So Krishna is telling him that even if the life air is there or not, if someone is dead or if someone is alive, you should not lament. So if someone is alive, why not lament for a living? Because the intelligent person knows that soul is eternal. So it's life. There is nothing to lament. The body may be harmed, but the soul is always eternal. So there is no need to lament. And why not lament for the dead? Because you would never like to lament for mud or stone. The body is same like that. I'm not saying this. Krishna says that. He says that in chapter 7, verse 4. भूमिरापो नलवायु खम मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकारति यम में भिन्न प्रकृतिर अस्तधा. He says earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind and intelligence and false ego. All together these 8 constitute my separated material energies. This is what we are made up of. Panch Mahabhut. This is what it is called. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. This is Pancha Mahabhut, the gross elements. Mind, intelligence, and false ego, subtle elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether make our gross body, the physical body which we have, hands, legs, head, eyes, all of this. Mind, intelligence, and false ego is our subtle body. They are all part of material energy. They are not spiritual energies. So what is a spiritual energy within us? It is the soul. It is different from all these elements. That is what Krishna is telling him. Gata soon agata soonscha, whether his life here is here or not. Panch Mahabhut is there with the soul, or if it is not, you don't lament. Nanu shochanti panditaha. A wise person does not lament on that, whether the life air is there in the body or not. So what is a true sign of learning? Understanding the difference between this body and the soul. That is the ABCD of spirituality. Once you understand the difference between the physical body, subtle body, and the soul, you have started your learning, not implementing the spiritual knowledge. And when you start realizing that this body is different, this subtle body is different, and then there is a soul, that is spiritual realization or self-realization. When we completely understand that I am this soul, I am Atma, I am not this body, then we have understood our own self. So Krishna starting with the ABCD of spirituality from 2.11. He says, Arjun, you are talking like an intelligent person, but you do not know the basics. You are not talking like a pandita. You are not talking like an intelligent person. Intelligent people do not lament on this body. whether it has life air or if it does not have life air. They do not lament. So these Panch Mahabhuta at the end of the time or of this body, when the soul leaves the body, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, they go back into their own storehouses. Earth goes to earth, water goes to water, air goes to air, ether goes to ether. They're all gone. Came from the dust, went back to the dust. So what to lament for? There is nothing to lament. That is the first instruction of Krishna to Arjun. Do not lament. Okay, so we'll end our discussion here. Any questions or comments, please ask.
So, Prabhuji, what is uh, we are at? I'm sorry. So we said mind, intelligence, and ego. They are part of subtle body. So, what is that? What is that exactly means?
So there are three layers to understand this. There is physical, there is subtle, and then there is spiritual. That is how our body is comprised of three different layers. So physical layer is called the gross body, which is made up of Panch Mahabhut.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what the elements you see outside.
Hmm.
You may see sand outside, you may see table, you may see, all those kinds of things, trees. Trees still have life inside them. They breathe, they do all those kind of things. But all the matter which you see outside, dead matter, stones, buildings, all those kind of things, they are all dead matter. They are made up of this Pancha Mahabhuta. So that is what our body consists of. And apart from that, there is mind, intelligence, and ego, which is the part of our subtle body, Sukshma Sharir, as we call it. And soul is the innermost layer, and that is encapsulated by the subtle body encapsulated by the gross body.
Mhm.
This is for the understanding. With realization, you need to understand how this mind functions and how the intelligence functions. So you will be able to understand whether it's your mind telling you something, or it's intelligence telling you something, or ego telling you something. Elements, they don't change, Pancha Mahabhuta. But subtle body, that can be identified and experienced. So I'll give you an example. Mind has a job of likes and dislikes only. So mind will just tell you, I like that, I like this, or I don't like this. And that is based on the sensual experience. Say, for example, you had a rasgulla. The mind, next time when you see the rasgulla, will tell you this is good. You liked it last time. Eat it. If you had some bitter gourd or Karela last time, Karela comes in front of you next time, mind will tell you, no, this is bitter, not to have it. You don't like it. Or maybe you like it. This is the job of mind. You like it, you don't like it. You like it, you don't like it. Based on the repository of images and thoughts. Intelligence, on the other hand, tells you what is right or what is wrong. Intelligence will tell you, don't have too many rasgullas. Bad for your health. Even though the mind likes it. But intelligence comes and says, no, sugar is bad if you have too much. And if someone snatches away your rasgulla, who gets angry? Ego. Who gets angry? Ego. मेरा रसगुल्ला लेके गए. Ego. तू अपना लेना, मेरा क्यों लिया? That is ego. ये मेरा रसगुल्ला था, ये मेरा घर है, ये मेरा लॉन है, इस पे चलने का नहीं, ये मेरा बेटा है, इसको मारने का नहीं, ये मेरी गाड़ी है, ये मेरा जॉब है, मैं ये पोजीशन पे हूं, इसके लिए मेरे को ऐसा नहीं बोलने का. ईगो. Ego gets angry. People who have thick ego, they get angry faster. So ego, and the characteristic of ego is it's a sticky substance between mind and the soul. So thinner your ego is, the realization of soul is quicker. So when you start thinking, no, it's not mine, it is given to me by someone who is the authority of everything, then you start understanding things properly. And this place is only to use and go. I'm a tenant. So this deha is also a rented place. I'm the dehi, not the owner of this body, but the resident or the tenant of this body. Then the ego is subtle. It starts thinning. That is subtle body. Does it make sense? Did I answer your question, Kalpesh?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So if no, we'll end our discussion here. Thank you very much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
For a nice class. Thank you.